Welcome back, my fellow degenerates. Week 11 is wrapped up, and we have plenty of exciting storylines around the league to go over. For example, the Detroit Lions blowing the absolute doors off the Jags. I mean, 50 plus points. Jags, obviously, no Trevor Lawrence, Max Jones, miserable, but absolute gold mine for fantasy if you have anyone on that Lions team. So hopefully, you have at least one of Amon Ra, Gibbs, Monty, Goff. They're just doing great things right now. Um, but other storylines around the league, we got some stuff. Maybe Anthony Richardson. Is he back? We need to recrown him. He had a great performance, getting a couple scores on the ground, but it's against the New York Jets, who are total dumpster fire. And unfortunately for him, he plays the Detroit Lions next week. So personally, I think he's in for a rude awakening, and I'm not playing him next week. But maybe you don't have a choice with how this fantasy year is going. Anyways, this episode, Dan and I will touch around on the news around the league. We got some firings, some hirings, some return of some fan favorites. Tommy Cutlets is back in New York, so that's going to be exciting to see. Um, but yeah, like I said, a lot of new storylines. And my personal favorite storyline that's developing right now is Bo Nix. And I believe Bo Nix, offensive rookie of the year. And he's someone that you should be riding to your fantasy football championship. He is so stable and he's playing so well. This is not what we expected coming into the year. He was, for me and a lot of people, honestly, like a tier below the other quarterbacks. So we love seeing Bo just roll out there. Anyways, that's about all I got. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, good luck in all of your fantasy football endeavors, unless you're in one of our leagues, because then luck ain't gonna save you. Peace.
Audio.
And 3, 2, 1, action. Welcome back, everybody, to the DGen Fantasy Football Podcast. Dylan and I are back
Yellow.
for another week to talk about and review the heartache that was Week 11.
Yep.
How'd you do this past week?
I'm pretty good. I mean, one of my teams put up 215 points and I snatched second place away. So we like that a lot.
Who are your boom guys on that 215?
Amon Ra,
Yep.
Chase had a decent game. Stafford had a good game. Tua had a good game.
Yeah, Stafford went up almost for 30. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, yeah, we'll talk about a bunch of these guys. We'll go over each game. If there's anything interesting to discuss, we'll hit on it. But first, let's talk some news. It's been a quiet week, but also some very significant things happening.
So following up Week 11's closure, we had some news dropping is Joe Douglas, the GM for the Jets, has been fired. He's been there for about 5 years now, so it's not like he was like a newer guy. So he's been there for a good bit. So he's out of there. Obviously, I don't even know it's like a train wreck over there with Aaron Rodgers' show. So I don't.
They are fully off the rails.
Yeah, they're crashing somewhere at some point, and it's not going to look pretty.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah,
because our defense was good, but now you're probably going to have Aaron Rodgers come back next year.
Yep,
Maybe.
and all these
Unless
old receivers.
Yep, and Devontae. At least you don't have to pay Wilson yet.
Yeah,
Be expecting it very soon.
Yep,
Grease will be back. So
yeah.
have to pay him.
They'll get Lazard back on a nice team-friendly deal,
Yeah. So they're just gonna probably try to run it back with the same squad, but a worse defense.
Yep, I'm sure it'll go great.
What a season for the Jets.
Yeah.
Man.
All right.
What else we got?
Moving on, staying in New York, though, we got Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets coming back. The Giants just had their bye week. Daniel Jones is benched, most likely for the rest of the year. And it looks like Tommy DeVito is going to be the starter. So there's a bit of a shock. I think a lot of people are expecting Drew Lock, but it's the return.
I was surprised.
Return of Tommy. So this will be.
They just want a guy that bring the juice. Tommy Cutlets is back.
Yeah. So the little bit of reasoning behind this is Tommy DeVito, he's under contract for more than just this season, whereas Drew Lock is out of a contract after this season. So it's most likely just seeing if they want to keep Tommy DeVito next year is to potentially be like not a bridge guy, but just like a backup to whoever they bring in the following season. Because you have to imagine they're moving on from Daniel Jones. So,
But can they get out of his contract
uh,
next year?
not cleanly, but they can. It's not going to be a clean cut. So, but they can't just keep festering with him there. So,
Yeah. I have to look it up, but I wonder what he was due to get paid next year. Um, Sometimes they like backload it, sometimes they front load it, but still
yeah.
he's got to go. I wonder if we're gonna see Tommy Cutlet's agent. Remember that guy with the pinstripes?
Yeah, that little yeah, he's a shitter. He's from Salem, Mass. So he's kind of a local legend, but he had a little bit of bad news when he was trying to charge like small tiny pizza place like thousands of dollars to get him to do a
Oh
signing.
yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? So,
Tommy had to apologize for that.
yep. And then next year
Okay.
there is a 22 mil dead cap hit if they want an out with a total of a 2-year 82. So it's pretty bad, but there is an out, which they'll probably take. They don't really have a choice.
Yeah, I
So,
wonder if they'll just totally clean house.
yeah.
Get rid of the head coach there.
Yeah, Dayball.
Dayball.
Yeah, he's a weird guy. I don't know how I feel about him.
Yeah, I thought he was a good coach, but
Yeah.
they've struggled. But at the same time, we did feel like they were building a better roster in the offseason, but
Yep.
Danny Dimes is just he's hopeless. He's
Yep.
wayward.
Yep.
Anything else for news?
Uh
Injury report? Anything?
the only other news is Mike Evans might be returning now with the Bucks being off their bye week. So fingers crossed if you have Mike Evans, he can come in and make an impact on your fantasy season. There's no update on practice yet because it's just Tuesday, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
what a walkthrough day.
Yeah, I imagine he's back this week, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think I did trade for him
Yeah.
last week, and I think he said he like could have pressed it on week 10 if they didn't have the
Yep.
week 11 bye. So I think he's a good shot to return. Hopefully not a re-injury, but he's gonna get a lot of targets there, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's in a great situation. I had to trade him away in a league, which not great, but I was like up against it, trying to do or die win situation. So that's what I had to do. But I mean, Todd Bowles, like you said, very accurate coach. He has reported that Mike Evans most likely will be back, and that was before last week even started. So I'm not too worried. And yeah, it's like Kate Otten, who's been getting banged up a little bit. So I think he's going to lose his workload a lot, and it's just going to be Mike just feasting.
Yeah, you had to have known that K. Otten level of work was
Yeah.
go down because that was crazy, man. He
Yep.
put together like 3 straight games of 12 targets, bunch of
Yep.
catches. He's a beast.
Yep.
Okay. So kind of a light week on the news front. Not a lot of other injuries going on. Isaiah Pacheco,
Maybe.
he's making progress, but I wouldn't really count on him fantasy-wise. That team is super legit. Looking at playoffs, they would be fools to run him ragged when you have Kareem Hunt.
Yeah. So there's no rush on him. So I personally wait to see him play at least once to see what the workload is like.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Week 11. Let's begin with an absolute Thursday night banger if you were an Eagles fan. Philadelphia versus Washington Commanders. Eagles took it home 26-18. I felt like this was utter domination.
Yep.
The Commanders scored at the very end and got the 2-point conversion. Zach Ertz, fucking god. But Eagles dominated them. Saquon Barkley is king.
Yep. It was a great Saquon game. Yeah, like you said, that touchdown at the end really changed the perception of it. Like looking at the box score, it feels like it's a much closer game, but they were up 2 scores handedly. So
Yeah. Let's talk about so I didn't feel like Jaden Daniels had the best of games. However, he still is pretty accurate. And the Eagles defense is people are starting to catch on now that they've really improved. But they're like a top ranked defense at this point.
yeah.
Lockdown corners. Are you willing to forgive Jaden Daniels?
I'm kind of worried about Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury pulling a disappearing act here. That's kind of what it's looking like to be the case. Whereas I think something like in 3 of the first 4 games of the season, Jaden Daniels had a top 10 QB finish for fantasy. Obviously, just fantasy purposes, but the last 7 weeks, he hasn't finished top 10 QB wise in fantasy. Um, yeah, and this is kind of like a Cliffsbury, like this is like a legit Cliff thing. So they might just be dropping off the face of the earth here and like free falling down.
Yeah,
Um,
Terry had like a reception, but he got locked down by Quentin Mitchell. Is that his name?
Kenyon, I think, is pronounced.
Kenyon.
Yeah.
Quint Kenyon.
But he's a fucking
Um,
dog, dude. He's so fun
he
to
is a dog,
watch.
man.
Yeah.
All he does is lock down number 1
Yeah.
receivers. So I'm going to be super concerned if you have
Yep.
Terry. But that's interesting to note about Jaden Daniels, though. So
Yeah.
I don't know because you don't really want to trade him.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, a lot of
now.
people have traded for these Washington players over this year. I know B Rob's moved around a lot. Terry's moved around a lot. Even Austin Eckler's moved around a little bit. So
Yeah, Eckler, he's full PPR flex monster now.
yeah.
So good to see. All right. Packers and Bears was a pretty fun game, I would say.
Yeah.
The Packers ended up taking it home. I'm going to get the score.
It was the blocked field goal at the end.
Blocked field goal at the end to win.
Yeah.
Jordan Love didn't play great. Still had a good fantasy day. Josh Jacobs stud.
Yep.
And then on the Bears end, I think Caleb did pretty well for you if you had Caleb.
Yeah. So
But-
Caleb
yeah.
played a little bit better. Big news was last week they fired Shane Waldron, so they have their new OC in town. Caleb had 70 rushing yards, which was like huge for him.
Yeah.
He's not a huge rushing threat so far this season, fantasy wise, a couple games, but so I think if that's the case, if he can run a lot, it's going to really open this offense up and help. But
I didn't watch the game. Were they
Yeah.
like design runs or was he just scrambling his ass off?
little bit of some keepers for sure, but some of it's scrambling. So definitely a good mix, but it's just we'll see what it looks like going forward. He's definitely just
Yeah.
not where everyone was expecting coming into the league this year. So
Yeah. Yeah, fantasy, whatever. But any other Bears that you're looking to trade for or at least start? I mean, Swift had a good game, but keep in mind, 40
he,
of his yards of his 71 came on one play.
yeah, he had that breakaway. I would be a little bit worried about was it Roshan Johnson got quite a few carries. I think he had almost
Yeah,
double.
Vulture.
I think he had almost double-digit carries this game. So
Yeah, he had 10.
yeah, none of the
And
receivers I like. Rome's kind of looking a little bit better as the season goes on, so he might be a little sneaky play here, but it's still not exciting offense. So
Yep. Other side of the ball, Packers. Jacobs had a game, slow and steady. He had a lot of receptions. And then Christian Watson had a blow up game.
that he did.
I'm not chasing this.
No,
at
that
all. Like if he's in waivers, I mean, maybe he's worth a pickup. See what happens, but this is kind of just a Christian Watson game.
this is just the Packers offense this whole year. There's too many players that
Yeah.
are like decent, but none of them are going to be studs with all the other ones there.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs, I really like going.
Well,
forward.
Jacobs, yeah, but in terms of the wide
Yeah.
receiver room, even like
Receiver.
Tucker Kraft. Did he
Dude,
put up a donut this week?
Big fat donut.
Yeah. So that's tough.
Yeah, really tough. If I'd played Zach Ertz in a league, I would have taken it home.
Yep. So
That's brutal.
it's rough.
Who would have thought I'd be saying that in week 11 of this season?
Yep.
If only I had played Zach Ertz. Okay. Yeah, but Jordan Love, he's a good streamer, and Jacobs all the way through. Lions versus the Jags. Absolute.
There's nothing
beat.
other than that. I saw 645 yards from the Jaguars, which is insane. That doesn't include return yards. That's just passing, kicking, or passing and rushings. So just nuts.
How many yards?
645.
Ooh, from the Lions?
Yeah, for the Lions offense.
Oh, okay. I said the Jags, but
Oh no.
yeah. This was an amazing time if you had any Lions players.
Dude, their whole team went off.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude, Amon Ra.
Off for they just poured like some hate
Yeah.
and frustration
Well, it's
into
so
these
hard
guys.
because this has happened a couple times this year. Is they get ahead so early, but it's like you can't really take the starters out because
Yeah,
it's like too early. But it's like
they
an
didn't pull out.
so. I mean, the only thing I want to talk about with this game is like, what do you think about the Lions this year? Like, I know they're 9-1, currently first in the NFC, the whole NFC, not just the North. Like, do you think they're
Honestly, I think
legit?
like in real life,
Yeah. Fuck fantasy. I mean, they're just great for
yeah,
fantasy. There's
yeah, I
nothing.
think they're legit.
Yeah.
I think they're legit. I don't think they're immune to, like, having a bad outing, but
Yeah.
yeah. When I think about NFC teams, like, I really think they could have Eagles and Lions would have a go at it, and I think the Lions could win.
Yeah.
Commanders, I think the Lions could beat the shit out of them.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so we'll see.
I will say my only worry still is I feel like Jared Goff and Dan Campbell still have that ability to like puke on themselves. Whether
Yes, I think I don't think they're fraudulent, but I think they could just show up one day
yeah.
and blow it.
I mean
And
they're
same thing with your fantasy playoffs.
yeah, it's just one idiotic decision away from ruining the season. I mean, like last week Goff threw 5 picks, right?
I
They
know, against the Dolphins, yeah,
they're
crazy.
Texans, but
Texans, dude. The Texans defense actually not bad,
yeah, they're
but
legit.
that was a but then they won the game though, which
Yeah.
has to say something about them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they can be down, playing terrible, and they find the grit to take it home.
Yeah.
So, if anything, it points to like a champion
Yep.
pedigree. But yeah, on the other side of the tip, don't play any Jaguars.
No.
No,
No.
maybe Evan Ingram.
No.
Oh, okay. Just stay away.
Yep.
Stay away. Travis Etienne. Yep. Okay. Moving on to the next game. We've got Dolphins Raiders.
This game's all
Cakewalk.
yeah, there's not much here, to be
Let's
honest.
just give Brock Bowers some love real quick, and then
Yeah.
we'll do it. We'll suck Johnu next.
Yeah, I mean,
Bowers,
Brock
God.
Bowers,
Going
God,
after the rookie love. Yep.
God mode. This is like what every tight end they say is going to be every year, but this is just Brock. So,
Yeah. Sheer volume, 16 targets.
yeah,
He's like a yeah. He's gonna get the fantasy. He's gonna beat Puka's reception record probably.
yeah, not the
Nuts.
yards, but I mean, like the catches, it's crazy. So, eh, yeah,
Yep.
that's all there is. That team sucks otherwise.
Yep. Play nothing. Yep. No running backs. Not Jacoby Myers. Dolphins, though, we saw life from Tyreek Hill. Not
Yep.
bad. 8 targets, 7 receptions, a touchdown. And then HN had an HN game. Jonnu Smith. Real quick, we don't need to spend much time on him because he's like a streamer, but he's actually had a really good stretch of games. Are you like starting him over, Hunter Henry,
Yeah, for sure.
Evan Ingram,
Yeah, Evan Ingram with the
Mark
kid.
Andrews?
Yeah, I feel like Johnny is just kind of like established to be like the third target there after Tyreek and A Chain. Waddle has just disappeared for
Yeah.
I don't know. He's until he's proven he's back, he's disappeared.
What happened to him?
So
Crazy.
but I wouldn't expect Johnny to keep this up. It's kind of similar to like Zach Ertz, where he'll be like a reliable 10-ish
Yeah.
points with some bigger weeks. But
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
yeah.
But like better than Ertz.
Yep.
Yeah, Jalen Waddle, RIP. You suck.
Yeah.
You suck. You suck. You suck. Okay. Let's move on to the Rams and Patriots. Rams took it home 28-22. We already talked about Stafford a little bit. Dog. I think
Yep.
he's like a middle tier streamer. Don't get too hard about it. Kyron Williams went another week without a touchdown, and then Puka and Cup absolutely dominated
Yep.
both of them. Do you think that those two can coexist week in and week out?
Yeah. It's looking like
Not to
it.
that level, obviously, but
Yeah. I mean, like these are the games where it's going to really be decided is like this week Stafford had 4 touchdowns. If that happens, both those guys are going to feast because that means both of them gets a TD. But if he only has 2 touchdowns, one of them is probably going to be looking at like 15, 16, 17 fantasy points. The other one's like 23. But I think they're both going to be 15 point per game for the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah, like players that make fantasy managers
Yep.
happy. Okay. I am not giving up on Kyron yet. I still
No.
think he had a good game, like in NFL standards. He had 86 yards on 15 carries.
Yep.
Absolutely zero involvement in the passing game, but he's still holding off like Corum. And, you know, a couple things go differently for the Rams. If Stafford's not hot, you might be taking those red zone carries. So
Yep.
you just got to hold. You got to hold. Outside of the ball, Drake May, absolutely acceptable streamer in my mind,
Yeah.
matchup dependent. Other than that, miss me with it.
Yeah.
Maybe Hunter Henry if you're in a pinch.
Yeah. He had a good game
Definitely.
again, but all these other guys,
Yeah.
it's too hard to predict. It's too many targets. Like I keep wanting to like Pop, and he had a good involvement this game, but he's just like not the clear cut one. So
Yep.
it's a lot like these other low tier teams. Like we'll go over the Browns next, where it's just like a lot of guys who are not great that just interchange how many targets they get, and you just can't really start any of them.
Yeah. But like you said, they're all, acceptable streamers.
Yeah.
Pop Douglas. Okay, let me just bring up the Browns game because we're moving on. This game was actually pretty sick. The Saints won 35-14. This
Yeah.
feels just like your classic week after firing your head coach, come out, really stick it to him. But Derek Carr has now played 2 good games. But let's just get right to the point. Taysom Hill, he had like 48 fantasy points, dude.
Yeah.
7 carries, 140 yards, 3 touchdowns, another 8 receptions for 50 yards. I mean, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't think you should chase this. I know no one's there, but like it feels like a fucking trap.
Dude, I chased this for a couple weeks, and this was the week I tapped out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fucking
Exactly.
stupid.
Trap.
But I mean, that league, I was just like do or die anyways. Now it's fucking over. I'm 4-7, so
Yeah, true.
he's like a long shot dart throw. When you're like against all odds, you're gonna play him over. But yeah,
Yeah. He's on bye this week. So
yeah.
we'll have to wait a while to prove himself. But
That being
he got 10
said,
targets. It was
that being
ridiculous.
said, Jason or Taysom Hill is the perfect trade bait bullshit against some fucking hosers in your league. So
Or getting desperate.
yeah, maybe you can throw in like a little DeAndre Swift, Taysom Hill package and get James Cook or something. I don't know.
Yeah, James Conner.
Yeah, James Conner too, who has a great playoff schedule yet again. Uh,
Yep.
but yeah, other than that, I mean, these games are just gross. The Browns are awful. Jameis kind of balling out though.
Yeah. Yeah. And he supported Jerry Judy. He had a big game.
Yeah. So
Okay. But yeah, not excited to start any of those guys
no.
whatsoever. Maybe take Judy out of the waivers, but that's about it. See if Jameis can keep him going. But it'll probably be like a Cedric Tillman, Judy, week to week. So
Elijah Moore even. Yeah.
yeah. So you can try to chase it. Let's go on. Colts and Jets. AR-15 is back.
Yes, he
Leads the Colts
is.
to a victory 28-27. Dude, I don't even know what to think about Anthony Richardson anymore.
Yeah. I mean, this team is just in shambles though, right? Like they keeps making these declarations of like, oh, AR's our guy, Flacco's our guy, now AR's our guy again for the year. It's just like, dude, what are you guys doing? You just look like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
I don't know. I mean, part of it, they could have like given him a couple weeks to like reset, refocus.
yeah, but the way they're wording everything is these awkward ultimatums where they're like,
Yeah,
Flacco is our guy for the rest of the year. And then it's just like Flacco is 40 and old and sucks. So they
yeah,
take him out and now, but I don't know. AR looked good.
yeah. He did. He looked really good
Um, I think Josh Downs got very lucky and had a good game. I wouldn't expect this from Josh Downs the rest of the season, though. So,
because of AR.
yeah, he's just, you can't rely on that volume.
Yeah, and that's the scary part. He didn't really have a lot of volume. He had 5 targets,
Yeah.
and he just caught all 5. So I don't know. I liked him with Flacco a lot,
Yep.
but with AR, you don't know. And Pittman played 5 for 46. This has been a forgettable year for Michael.
Yep.
Forgettable. Jets, Brees Hall is back,
Yep.
so that's a huge positive. Devontae Adams, 6 for 72, acceptable. And Garrett Wilson, who was on a tear in the middle of the season, is now kind of back in the mud, 4 for 18.
Yeah, dude. If I'm Garrett Wilson, I hate my life right now. This is like the
Yeah,
worst experiment ever. I mean, like it's kind of exciting to get Aaron Rodgers, but like statistically, I think Rodgers is worse than Zach Wilson now. Like pretty much. I don't even like it's not far off. I don't
yeah.
it's
And at first it was like, oh, Devontae's here and he's gonna help Garrett Wilson like get better matchups.
no.
And now you're just like he's beating Devontae more, which has always been a Rodgers. When shit goes bad, he just starts hammering his boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He doesn't like to get hammered by the boy.
fucking
All right. But yeah, sticking with Brees, sticking with Devontae, sticking with G Willie. I have no choice.
yep.
Ravens and Steelers. This was a bit of a banger game. Kind of a down game all around for the boys. Steelers won 18-16. Dude, I'm so in on the Steelers now.
Dude, this was like such a Mike Tomlin game. You gotta
Yeah.
know he's just sitting there at the sideline. He's just like all giddy. Like afterwards, he's like, I can't believe it fucking happened. We beat Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson with field goals.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. But Lamar had his floor game, which was like 14.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry had his floor game, which was also like 14. And then Isaiah Likely was back. Not much to say about the receivers. Say caught a touchdown.
Yeah.
You're playing all of those guys for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have much on the Ravens, really. This is kind of, I mean, the Steelers D is so good. We kind of expected this. I would expect a huge bounce back game from Lamar next week.
Yeah. And then Steelers, let's see. Russell didn't do much. Yeah, all the boys. Pickens had a pretty good game. 8
Yep.
for 89.
Yep. They just didn't get in the end zone, so
Yeah. That's the thing about Najee this year, man. He's had a good season in real life, but he does not score touchdowns.
yeah. He got the little help from that passing involvement, getting like 4 for 30 or whatever it was.
Yep.
But
7 points from him.
yeah.
Yeah. Until he starts scoring, like
Yep.
it's kind of like what Kyron's going through right now.
Yeah.
But Kyron, you have a little bit more faith. He's gonna
Better
get
offense.
Okay, what's next?
Fucking Broncos just spanking the Falcons, probably.
Yeah, we can sail through that. Bo Nix is like a league winner in my mind,
Yeah.
especially if you like were hurting that quarterback. And the
Yeah.
only other thing I really want to touch on because it was like a really big talking point in fantasy circles last week was the running back share in Denver. Audric Estime.
Oh, this was so obvious, dude.
Dude, it was a trap. Audric Estime all last week. Everyone was saying pick him up. And then Javonte just came back and also played a great game.
Yeah.
So, Sean Payton, you fooled him.
Yeah, this was so obvious that this like wasn't going to be the case, that Estime was going to be the guy. I think
What was with that last week, though?
I mean, Sean
Just put him in
Payton
the
was gassing him up, and yeah, I just think all these guys suck, is what it is.
Yeah.
There's just no one good. I think Bo Nix is an absolute dog.
Play him.
And then also Bo Nix rookie of the year right now, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely, man. He's been playing great, man. And their team is good. They're
Yeah.
winning games.
None of the
Big comeback
receivers
ability.
are up there. I mean, like they look
Yep.
good, but they're just missing time or like not amazing like Bo. I mean, Bo put up 300 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Crazy.
So
Yeah, now he's like, I think I said this on the podcast last week, but I thought he was a good fantasy player. And now I'm starting to think he's just a legitimate NFL player
yeah, he's just a good quarterback.
with a good coach. So Good for him. Falcon side of the ball, forgettable performance. Kirk played like shit. London played like shit. Mooney played like shit and got his hamstring hurt. And
Yeah,
even Bijan had a mediocre ass day for new Bijan standards.
yeah, he
Yeah.
did. A lot of the teams kind of banged up too, especially those receivers. They're all kind of hobbled, so maybe they
Yeah.
pull it back together, something small.
They have a bye. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got a bye this week.
So
Um, and honestly, you're just sticking out with those guys. Mooney played so much better than his draft capital that like
mm,
you keep him.
yeah,
London, hopefully you get a good stretch or on a playoff and he gets his playoff stretch, but and then Bijan, just forget about it
yeah,
because
this could be a little troubled stretch. I wouldn't be surprised if Mooney just disappears, unfortunately, for the rest of the year.
that's tough. That's tough. They have a good fantasy playoff
They do.
schedule.
So we like
Yeah.
that, but
Okay. Yeah, stick it out. Urco chains, baby. Seahawks and Niners. We talked about this a little bit today, but Seahawks won 20-17. Great game. The Niners, they don't look too good, man.
no, they
At
don't.
all. Let's see. Brock, he completed a lot of passes, but he only passed for 160 yards and then only a touchdown, a
Yep.
pick. CMC looked pedestrian. Only Juwan Jennings do I give love. He looked good.
Yeah. Jennings did look
And all-
good. I don't know, man.
yeah, he had a lot of volume.
We talked about this a lot. I think the Niners are just like banged up and tired. I mean, we talked about this last 4 years, they've made it to at least the NFC championship game. Like
Yep.
that is such a grind. And it's just like adding up, adding up. And I mean, Nick Bosa missed most of the second half, I believe. They kept zooming in on him yeah. So George Kittle was out. Like these guys are like key members of their team, and they're like, I don't know, a guy like George Kittle or Nick Bosa on your team just like brings your morale up so much. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
what do you
know.
think their outlook is like going forward? I mean, obviously you're gonna stick it out with CMC.
Yeah,
CMC gets you 14 points at a minimum, whatever.
yeah. I
But
still
you also-
like the Niners. I still believe in them. I think the Seahawks are frauds. I think the Cardinals kind of not good as well in that division. I think the Rams are legit, but I don't know. I think
yeah, they're all sitting around the same
yeah,
record.
yeah. If I had to bet on any of those teams, Niners and Rams are up there. Um, and it just
Yeah,
really
it's-
depends on how injuries shake out for the rest of the year between those two. But
Yeah. Yeah, I like some Seahawks. In real life, I think you're accurate in saying that they're frauds, but I like some Seahawks for fantasy.
yeah,
I like JSN. I'm not gonna hop on his dick fully, but he's getting the volume and DK was back. He had 10 receptions for 110 yards. I think at the very least he could be a good PPR monster for you. He
Yeah.
just seems to be all over the field.
yeah. I kind of like unintentionally talked myself out of JSN when I was looking at some numbers, but it's just, I mean, we're still
Yeah.
only like 11 weeks into the season. In their case, they've had a bye, so they've only played 10 games. So it's just like single games affect your stats so much that it's hard to
They
know.
do. And he's already had like one very large, very big game.
Yeah.
And then he went dormant for a while. So I don't know. I want to believe. That's a
Yeah.
shit ton of volume, but he did do that in like week 3 or week 4.
Well, last
then-
week was his massive week without DK. He scored 37 points.
Maybe
So-
he had a few games like this.
So, well, the stat that like kind of caught my eyes when I was looking at things was the past 3 weeks. 2 of the weeks where DK was out, and then this week was his first week back. He has 72 fantasy points, and he has 148 fantasy points on the season. So,
And in week 2, he had 12 receptions, 117 yards. So that's another like 24 points right there.
yeah.
So, almost 100 of his points came in 3
Four-
games.
Well, yeah, he didn't even have like a great game 2 weeks ago, but like just with DK being out and like returning, I know DK still got 10 targets, but like he can still be banged up and not as efficient as he
Yeah.
normally would be in playing. So it's like those 3 games he had half of his season's points. So, but that's how it always is. Is not too much to read into. It's just picking. I think I just don't like JSN, so I'm gonna find something to pick say that he sucks.
I
Like realistically, that's
mean, it's just that he has spike weeks, really.
yeah,
Oh man, I'm torn. I'm
yeah,
torn. I don't like, and like obviously if you have him, you're like, oh, this is sweet. But like going out and getting him, thinking he's gonna be like this consistent contributor. But the receiver position has been so underwhelming
yeah,
that it's like, are you better off just going and getting a JSN who can
yeah,
explode for you?
yeah,
Or do you want to just get like 9 to 12 points?
yeah. It's so
You
hard.
know?
Just so many injuries, so many inconsistencies.
Yeah, and like what's your team build like? Okay. Well, we spent a lot of time talking about these guys.
Yeah.
Let's move on. What's our next game?
Probably Chiefs Bills if I had to guess, right?
Ooh.
I think that's
This is
last.
exactly how I thought it would turn out, man.
Yeah, I think that's my prediction was 24-20 Bills winning, so pretty
Yep.
close.
Pretty spot on. And like wait, Josh Allen kind of waiting towards the end of the game.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah.
those pieces are nothing's really changed in my mind. James Cook, touchdown machine somehow this year.
Yep.
Josh Allen, one of the best. And then Khalil Shakir, slow and steady, good flex guy.
Yep.
And then on the Chiefs side of the ball, just Travis Kelsey, really.
Yeah.
That's it.
And even then, he played like shit. He had 2 catches.
Yeah.
So, you almost I mean, Worthy had like the hot start to start the game. He had I think 3 catches and the touchdown on the first drive, and then he
Dominated.
touched the ball once again the whole game.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chiefs
Worthy dominated though.
yeah. Chiefs not looking too good, but this is probably a good kick in their ass that they needed because they've been playing sloppy and getting wins still. So
Yeah. I'm still behind them on their Super Bowl run for
yeah,
sure. All right, getting down toward the end here. Let's talk about Chargers and Bengals. Chargers won 34-27. Chargers look fantastic, dude.
yes, they do.
We've been sucking Herbert for since that game, and he
Yeah,
deserves it. The offense is like leaning more on him, and then the run game is still getting it done.
yep,
But again, it's J.K. Dobbins. Herbert is now like a high-end streamer, and that's it in my mind. Maybe Will Disley if you have to do it.
yeah. I mean, he kind of balled out, but
Oh,
Herbert's
and Lad. I'll do Lad McConkey all day.
yeah, Herbert's also like running the ball a lot this year. He put up 65 yards this game.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good runner. He should
Yeah,
be. That
yeah,
was kind of what we were hoping, like in the Harbaugh scheme.
yeah. So
Yeah. Lad McConkey, I'm playing if I got him.
the rest of the receivers, though, you can't touch.
Yeah.
Disley's like a fill-in, or I mean, honestly, he's becoming like a reliable starter. But
Yeah, he's in like the better than Zach Ertz tier almost because
yeah,
he might score.
yep,
And then Quentin Johnson has like more touchdowns than most of the receivers in the league, but
yeah, you can't
um,
play him.
he just doesn't get a lot of receptions. He did get a lot of targets this week,
Yep,
but he's risky as hell. I wouldn't do it. Bengals, dude, Burrow's like it sucks to be him right now because he's balling out,
yeah, I think
balling out. Ton of yards, 3 touchdowns, looked great. Their team just sucks.
yeah, their team is like the exact what you expect fantasy wise at this point of the year. Jamar Chase, T Higgins, both going crazy. Chase Brown gets all of the work. No one else in the
Yeah,
backfield. Chase Brown also gets all the touches out of the backfield in terms of pass catching downs.
dude, he's awesome. Yeah,
So he's just putting up crazy numbers.
yeah,
And
he's
then,
great.
but the Bengals just can't can't pull it together. I don't know. There
They
was
suck.
one play on their last drive where they had an incomplete deep ball to Jamar Chase, and they Jamar Chase came off the field and they stayed in the huddle until there was like 10 seconds left. and they like on the play clock, not on the game clock. And then they like ran up to the ball, hiked it, and just had like a terrible short pass attempt. And it was like, what are you guys doing? Like there was just no communication. Like they were still in the huddle with 10 seconds left on the play clock. And it was like Jamar Chase not on the field. They just throw the ball away. Like it was just odd. It was like this doesn't really make sense. Like who's calling the shots here? There's no way Burrow was like, let's do this. So
Yeah. But hey, for fantasy, they
oh,
have 4 guys who are all fucking awesome. So
and they're on bye next week. So
yeah, rough week for a bye.
yep.
Needed you, Chase. I needed you real bad. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yep.
Monday night game. Texans beat the shit out of the Cowboys,
Yeah,
34-10. A good get well game for the Texans.
Yeah, they didn't even look good. So I mean, like
Joe Mixon did though.
Mixon
Mixon's a
did.
god.
So I still
Yeah,
like
man.
Stroud. I trust him. I think he's gonna get it together. So I think they're chilling.
Yeah, for sure. In real life, they'll make a good
Run.
fight in the playoff.
Yep.
CJ for fantasy purposes right now.
No.
I really wouldn't start him
Nope.
in redraft. But Joe Mixon has been a revelation this year. He's
God.
He's
God.
dude, he's God tier. He's God. And Nico had a down game, which stinks. But hold on.
Yeah, he's first game back. You can't worry about that.
Cowboys side of the ball, Rush actually threw for 350, which is surprising. And
God damn.
CD, I think, still proved his worth as a weekly start that you're happy with. I think he'll get PPR and get enough looks.
Yeah, I think he will. I think people were a bit of a panic after last week, and it might have been a good time to buy CD. Not that he's going to be putting up the numbers that you expected coming into the year, but that like 15, 16, 17 points per game down the stretch here is probably what we're going to see.
Yeah, which is still good enough for like a top 10 receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
He had one like crazy 40-point game, like that's done.
Yeah.
That's done. But maybe still in the 20s here and there. Okay, so that is week 11. Honestly, it feels like a lot of the things have stayed the same, with a few question marks like JSN, stuff like that. But
yeah,
we'll get into week 12. I think we'll be back in a couple days.
Yep.
Make our picks and review our picks last week. I think we had like 50% mark.
Yeah, roughly 50.
Yeah, receivers have been tough recently.
Yeah, they have.
But please like and subscribe.
Yep.
Leave a comment. We'll see you guys in a couple days.
See you guys.